Καλώς εξοικεύονται. Οι τυραννοί άπαντες. Πήρες χρέ. Ομοί ενίκαιαοι. Βεβαίως.
Peace, peace, peace. Let's see. Alright, shared that out. Alright, audio's working. We're continuing to build this knowledge on Greece. And we're going to learn about the Greco-Persian War. So if you can see at the bottom here, Greco-Persian Wars, 490 to 479 BCE. So that takes place in the classical period. That's what actually ends the archaic period, it seems, and begins the classical period. Now I do know, at least I believe from my memory, that the Greeks overcame the mighty Persians. The Persians were considered the world power at this time, and the Greeks were the underdogs. I also believe the Persians were in control of Egypt at this time, as well as other regions in between the two lands. So the oldest recorded civilization in this Greek history is the Minoan civilization, and that takes place 2700 BCE to 1350 BCE. So that's way back. That's like oldest recorded history of man. You got the geometric period. So that's 1100 BCE to 800 BCE. Oh, I skipped over the Mycenaean civilization, 1700 to 1200 BCE. Then you get the geometric period. So that's a little bit of Mycenae. It says, wandered the remnants of Mycenae, a place that was in ruins even in the time of antiquity. Okay, so that's Mycenae. We're going to have to get into that Mycenae. That looks very interesting. But I did title this the Greco-Persian War, so I gotta stick to it. So here we go. Let's go to our tour. It's free. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let's go. There's some facts on the screen for y'all. Marriage penalty. Spartan men had to marry between ages 25 and 35. Those who did not were penalized through attacks and excluded from some celebrations. So here we are. We're going to learn about the wars.
Welcome, traveler, to the site of the legendary Battle of Marathon. My name is Herodotus, and I am a traveler from Hyrcanassus. I retrace the cause of various events, such as wars and great calamities. I describe what I see and record what I'm told, all with the aim of providing a better understanding of why these things occur. Look for me to introduce you to many sites. It's truly incredible that such a small place would have such tremendous significance. But then again, even the tiniest pebble can send ripples through the water. Marathon was the location of one of the greatest battles in Greek history. It was here where Athenians made a stand against the might of an imposing Persian fleet. Your visit will take you through the causes of the conflict, the battle itself, and its far-reaching consequences. I will see you again once you're through.
That's Herodotus. That's Herodotus. So the Battle of Marathon, we're going to see what kicked this off, what caused this war.
In 490 BCE, 600 Persian triremes landed on a beach 35 kilometers north of Athens. Standing in their way were 11,000 hoplites, led by the prestigious Athenian general Miltiades. The Persian forces outnumbered the Greeks approximately 5-1, and yet the smaller force managed to push back their would-be conquerors. The Battle of Marathon was a major turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars, and the Athenians' victory would be celebrated for many years. The modern-day distance-running event is named a marathon in memory of a soldier from the battle who ran back to Athens to announce their victory, though whether this is real or legend is uncertain.
Could be real. Here we go. This is the grave stele of Polus, a warrior who died in the battle. 480 BCE, classical Greece. This is in LA. The Persian army had many bow-wielding horsemen. Because of this, its forces were very mobile and especially effective on the dry and rocky terrain in the Middle East. However, Persian cavalry was much less comfortable in mountainous regions and wooded areas. This is what I was trying to tell this knucklehead truist about the topography of Greece and all these little islands that's very mountainous. Like some chariots, helmets.
The Persians wanted to invade Greece in part due to its rich silver mines. In 545 BCE, they came closer to this goal after their victory over Croesus, the king of Lydia. The victory forced some Greek populations in Asia Minor to surrender and gave the Persians a solid foothold to carry out a large-scale invasion. In 494 BCE, the city of Miletus revolted against its Persian rulers. They were aided by Athens and the nearby city of Eretria, and even burned down an important Persian temple. The Persian king Darius was enraged by their sacrilege, and in 491 BCE, sent messengers to the Greek cities demanding their submission. Athens and Sparta killed the Persian messengers, goading Darius to invade. The Persians began their attacks, first capturing the city of Naxos and enslaving its inhabitants, then taking the city of Eretria. Filled with confidence from their string of victories, the Persians set their sights on Athens.
Damn, what a story. What a story. Oh, shoot, hold up. Yeah, this can be the thumbnail right here. So, these are archers. Archers frees from Darius's palace in Susa, 5th century BCE, Achaemenid period. So this is the Achaemenid dynasty. The Persian king Darius proclaimed that he was chosen by the god Ahura Mazda, to be king of kings and master of the world. So if I'm not mistaken, is Ahura Mazda what Zoroaster referred to? We gotta get back into the Zoroastrianism. He did his best to live up to those titles and conquered Egypt, Babylonia, the Lydians' section of Asia Minor, as well as several smaller states. Darius allowed his subjects a fair amount of autonomy, but also demanded yearly tributes as well as troops in the event of a war. What an image this is right here. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, pretty much look like them people that be up there. Yeah. Now let's see what they decked in. They wearing like, that look like silk or some cotton that they wearing. They got a spear. I see a spear. It look like the bow is on the left shoulder. So they're carrying a spear and a bow. Look like they got damn socks on, damn near. We gonna get into this history, man. I'm not playing with these niggas. Look at the mountains when you hit the coast.
The Greeks were surprised by the ferocity of the Persian attacks. Seeking aid against the upcoming invasion, Athens was forced to appeal to other cities for help. In a surprising move, they asked for aid from Sparta, known for having the strongest army in Greece. The Spartans agreed to the request, but they were unable to send reinforcements in time due to the religious feast of Apollo Karneos, which forbade them from leaving their city until the next full moon. The only extra help Athens managed to acquire was from the small Boeotian city of Plataea, which sent an additional 1,000 hoplites. This was the first time in Greek history that their entire civilization was under attack from an external invader. Despite sharing the same language and same religion, Greek city-states had often warred amongst themselves. The Persian invasion was the first time they realized the necessity of collective action to ensure their survival.
Yep. So this is Apollo Karneos from the obverse of a diable from Metapontion, 325 to 275 BCE, Hellenistic Greece. It says Plataea was the site of the famous Battle of Plataea, one of the most important battles in the Greco-Persian Wars. The battle ended in a decisive victory for the Greeks, who managed to successfully repel the Persian invaders. Looks like a form of currency. They're calling it, this is Apollo Karneos. Obverse of a diable. Let me switch up this character. The Athenian soldier.
The Persian fleet originally planned to land at the port of Phaleron. However, the exiled Athenian tyrant Hippias, who sided with the Persians, advised them to land at Marathon instead, where it would be easier to deploy cavalry. The Athenians were unaware of the Persian battle plans and left Marathon undefended. This allowed the Persians to quietly set up camp on the beach, while Athens scrambled to mount a defense.
Alright, so this right here is a Persian soldier fleeing. Detail of an Attic red figure neck amphora, 490 to 470 BCE. So this is how it looks like. This is how the Greeks depicted the Persians. So you got the sword in the right hand, the bow in the left hand, and you got the carrier for his bows on his hips. It's bearded. They still maintain that staple, that beard. So it says, for a while, Phaleron served as Athens' main port. This changed after the general and politician Themistocles encouraged the development of the natural harbors of Piraeus. Piraeus turned into a bustling port of its own, and Phaleron was gradually abandoned. So this is a Persian soldier fleeing.
The Persians' overwhelming numerical superiority forced the Athenians to get creative with their defensive strategy. The city sent 10,000 hoplites, along with the extra 1,000 Plataean reinforcements, to a hill located above the Persian encampment. Once in position, Athenians had to decide whether to wait for the Persians to attack or to strike them first. Athens' strategists believed the former option was better, but the general Miltiades believed a first strike was more advantageous, as the Persians had their backs to the sea. In the end, Miltiades' opinion prevailed, and the Greeks made their move.
Alright, so this is a marble bust of Miltiades, 5th century BCE, which is classical Greece. It says, before the Battle of Marathon, the general Miltiades was suspected of aspiring to tyranny. After his victory, however, he returned to Athens a hero. Miltiades took advantage of his newfound popularity to request a large fleet. While he kept the reasons for his request a secret, it was eventually revealed that he was using Athenian military resources to wage a personal war against the city of Paros. Dang, this is getting deep. Miltiades' siege of Paros was unsuccessful, and the general suffered an injury that later led to gangrene. When he returned to Athens, he was put on trial for his actions, and though he managed to avoid the death penalty, he was charged with an enormous fine. He died shortly thereafter. So Miltiades.
According to Herodotus, the Greek forces charged at the Persians without archers or cavalry. The Persians were unprepared for what they saw as an act of madness. While they were able to hold the Greeks back at first, they were eventually pushed back to their ships and forced to retreat. The Persians suffered heavy losses during the battle, with approximately 6,400 casualties. The Athenians, on the other hand, only lost 192 soldiers.
The Battle near Marathon, an oil painting by Herman Nack something. 1848-1915 was his life. They're saying this is from 1889. So this is the battle near Marathon. So you got the Persians in blue, and you got the Athenians or Spartans or whatever in red. I'm guessing that's the Spartans in red. So we see, I'm looking on the lower right side, that Persian. I gotta see what it's called, what they were wearing on their heads. Let me see. during the Battle of Marathon, what is it called that the Persians wore on their heads for battle? Alright, let's see. Damn. Let me put a question mark. Alright, you know what? Let me ask AI. Hold on, y'all. I gotta get this answer. I gotta get it. Because I'm curious. Okay, here we go. Soft caps or tiaras, not helmets like the Greek hoplites. The Greeks, meanwhile, wore heavy bronze helmets such as the Corinthian helmet, which covered the entire head except for the eyes and mouth. That's another thing I want to get into, like medieval, like war gear. You know, the technology at the time. So, a Kidaris. They're saying it's a Kidaris. A Kidaris. I'll figure it out. No, it's all good. It says the Spartans that Athens called on for aid did eventually make it to Marathon, but only after the battle was over. According to Herodotus, the Spartans toured the battlefield, praised the Athenians on their victory, and then departed.
The victory at Marathon was considered miraculous. The Greeks attributed this miracle to the appearance of legendary heroes who they allegedly saw return from the dead to fight at their side in defense of the city. For example, several Athenians swore they saw the mythical king Theseus take up arms at Marathon, a scene which would later be depicted in Athens' Agora. Similarly, some hoplites attested that Heracles appeared at Marathon, clad in his lion skin and wielding a club. The supposed appearance of these heroes helped elevate the Battle of Marathon to a legendary status among the Greek people.
So this is a bronze statuette of Heracles fighting. Got someone in an arm lock. 4th through the 1st century BCE, which is Hellenistic Greece. Heracles was renowned for his heroic feats and labors, but his death was surprisingly tragic. According to legend, Heracles' third wife, Deianira, was worried that her husband was having an affair. Hoping to rekindle their love, Deianira gave Heracles a garment stained with the blood of a centaur he once killed named Nessos. Unfortunately, the blood was poisoned, and after putting the garment on, Heracles' skin began burning. The pain was so unbearable that Heracles made a funeral pyre for himself on Mount Oeta, then ordered Philoctetes to light it. The fire burned Heracles' mortal body, but Zeus raised his immortal side to Olympos. Okay, so they got their myths.
After the Persians fled Marathon, they tried to invade Athens by way of the Bay of Phaleron. However, this gave the Athenians time to return to their city and mount a proper defense. Fearing further losses, the admiral of the Persian fleet called off their attack, and the Persians returned to their empire. Darius was furious at the campaign's failure, and decided to seek vengeance in a retaliatory expedition from both land and sea. Meanwhile, Sparta begrudgingly congratulated Athens on their victory.
So this is a tetradrachm of the Persian Empire, depicting the Persian king in the prow of a galley, 350 to 333 BCE. This is the Achaemenid period. So it says the Athenians buried the soldiers who died at Marathon in a monumental tumulus. The tumulus featured 10 steles, listing the names of the honored dead from each tribe. A second tumulus was built for the Plataeans and slaves who died alongside the Athenians. The dead soldiers were granted the right to be worshipped as heroes and even received the honor of a cult. When the general Miltiades died, he was buried next to his men. Alright, we got one more stop. It's great to get some Persian history as well.
The victory at Marathon marked the beginning of a new era for Athens. According to Herodotus, Athens' success at pushing back the Persians ranked them first in the ongoing competition between the Greek city-states. The Athenians immortalized their prestige by erecting monuments in both their own city and in Delphi. The Battle of Marathon was also perceived as a blow against tyranny. Tyranny went from being perceived as a simple flaw in authoritarian excess to major treason against the homeland, a sin that rulers would take great pains to avoid being accused of. This helped consolidate the institution of democracy for the next 2 centuries.
So this is the Athenian treasury at Delphi, 490 to 485 BCE, which was, I'm assuming this is when the time it was built, between those 5 years. Classical Greece. So it's Florence. Okay. After the Battle of Marathon, the Athenians built a treasury in Delphi to express gratitude to Apollo. The small temple-shaped monument was built with spoils taken from the Persians at Marathon. The treasury's metopes depicted the exploits of Heracles and Theseus, the 2 mythical heroes who allegedly helped the Athenians fight the Persians back. They also featured images of Athena and the Amazons. Okay. We're gonna understand this world around us, man. That's why we're the Global Gang RPG.
I hope you enjoyed this look into the famous Battle of Marathon. It was not only a major turning point in the history of Athens, but also for all of Greece. Its repercussions would be felt for many years to come. Is there anything else you'd like to do? Of course. Let's start with a simple question. Which Athenian general led the Greek forces at Marathon?
Yeah, this dude right here.
Correct. Miltiades led the forces at Marathon, and it was his strategy that helped the Greeks push the Persians back. Time for another question. Which Greek city revolted against the Persians in 494 BCE?
Miletus.
Correct. Miletus revolted against Persian rule with support from both Athens and Eretria. One more question. Which other Greek city aided Athens at Marathon?
Sparta. Oh wait. Ooh, Plataea. Was it Plataea?
Yes. Plataea sent 1,000 obrides to aid the Athenian forces. Well done, traveler. You have learned much.
That was fire.
Farewell, traveler. I
Shout
hope
out to
to
the
see
Greeks.
you again soon.
So we just completed a tour and we unlocked 2 characters. We unlocked 2 characters. A Spartan hoplite fights for the glory of his city, never skips leg day. That's what's up. Alright, so I'm going to shut it down there. That was 30 minutes. That's some good history right there. We'll be back next time. Peace.